A woman's burned car sits abandoned on a California highway. Her purse inside, blood on the driver's seat. The police declared a tragic accident. Her husband weeps at the memorial service, clutching their 2 young children. The insurance company pays out $3 million. But Jennifer Martinez isn't dead. For 18 months, she's been living under a new identity in Portland, Oregon, working as a waitress, dyeing her hair every few weeks, never using her real name. She thought she was safe. She thought her carefully planned escape had fooled everyone, including the man who had been slowly poisoning her for over a year. She was wrong, because while Jennifer was learning to live in the shadows, her husband David was conducting his own investigation. Not to prove she was alive. He already knew that. No, David was planning something far worse than murder. He was planning to destroy every person who had helped his wife disappear, and then he was going to make Jennifer watch. What do you think? Could you really fake your own death and disappear forever? Let me know in the comments, because today's case will show you exactly why Jennifer's plan was doomed from the start. Jennifer Martinez was a 34-year-old mother of 2 living in Sacramento, California. To her neighbors, she seemed to have the perfect life, a successful husband who owned 3 car dealerships, a beautiful home in an upscale neighborhood, and 2 healthy children. But behind closed doors, Jennifer was fighting for her life in a battle she didn't even know she was losing. David Martinez had always been a planner. As a teenager, he'd mapped out his entire future: college at UC Davis, business degree, car dealership empire, trophy wife, 2 kids, retirement by 50. By age 38, he'd checked every box except the last one. But lately, his carefully constructed world was developing cracks. The first sign came during a routine doctor's visit. Jennifer had been experiencing strange symptoms: fatigue, nausea, hair loss. Dr. Rebecca Chen ran extensive blood work, and when the results came back, she called Jennifer directly. "Mrs. Martinez, I need you to come in immediately. Don't eat or drink anything, and bring someone you trust." Jennifer's hands shook as she hung up the phone. She'd never heard Dr. Chen sound so serious. When she arrived at the clinic, the physician's face was grim. "Jennifer, your blood contains traces of arsenic. This isn't accidental exposure. Someone has been administering this to you regularly, likely for months." The words hit Jennifer like a physical blow. Arsenic. Poison. Someone was trying to kill her. "But that's impossible," Jennifer whispered. "I mean, who would? How could?" Dr. Chen leaned forward. "I'm legally required to report this to authorities. But first, I need you to think carefully. Who has access to your food? Your drinks? Your medications?" Jennifer's mind raced through the possibilities. The housekeeper, Maria, who'd been with him for 5 years. Her mother-in-law, Patricia, who visited twice a week. The kids' nanny, Ashley. And of course, David. David, who brought her coffee every morning before work. David, who insisted on cooking dinner twice a week to give her a break. David, who'd recently started preparing her vitamins in a weekly pill organizer, claiming he wanted to help her stay healthy. "I need to ask you something difficult," Dr. Chen continued. "Has your husband's behavior changed recently? Has he been more controlling, more interested in your daily routine?" Jennifer's stomach dropped. 3 months ago, David had suddenly become obsessed with her whereabouts. He'd installed tracking apps on her phone, claiming it was for family safety. He'd started asking detailed questions about her day, who she'd spoken to, where she'd been. When she questioned it, he laughed it off. "Honey, I just love you so much. I want to know everything about your day. Is that so wrong?" She thought it was romantic. Now, sitting in Dr. Chen's office, she realized it was surveillance. "There's something else," the doctor said quietly. "The arsenic levels in your system indicate this has been going on for at least 8 months. Whoever is doing this has been very careful, very methodical. They are not trying to kill you quickly. They are trying to make it look like a natural illness." Jennifer felt the room spinning. 8 months. That meant it had started right after David's business expansion, right after he'd taken out that massive life insurance policy on her. The policy, he'd said, was just good financial planning. Doctor, if I stop consuming whatever is poisoning me, will I recover? With time and treatment, yes. But Jennifer, you need to understand, if someone is doing this deliberately, removing yourself from the source might not be enough. If they realize you know, they might escalate. As Jennifer drove home, her mind was already working. She couldn't go to the police, not yet. She needed proof, and she needed a plan. Because if David was trying to kill her, then her children were in danger too. That night, as David handed her the usual evening vitamins with a glass of water, Jennifer palmed the pills and pretended to swallow them. For the first time in months, she felt clear-headed enough to think. If her husband wanted her dead, she'd give him exactly what he wanted, but she'd do it on her terms. Jennifer's transformation from victim to detective began at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. While David slept beside her, she crept into his home office and began photographing everything: bank statements, insurance documents, business records. What she found made her blood freeze. David hadn't just taken out one life insurance policy. There were 3, totaling $4.2 million. But the most chilling discovery was a handwritten timeline in his desk drawer, detailing her illness progression over the past 8 months. He'd been documenting her symptoms like a scientist recording lab results. Week 12, increased fatigue, occasional vomiting. Dose appears effective. Week 20, hair thinning noticeable. May need to suggest she see dermatologist to maintain appearance of concern. Week 28, memory issues emerging. Perfect timing for accident scenario. Jennifer's hands trembled as she photographed each page. This wasn't just attempted murder. It was a calculated business plan. Over the next 3 weeks, Jennifer played the role of the slowly dying wife while conducting her own covert operation. She installed hidden cameras throughout the house, recorded conversations, and began building a case that would destroy David's life just as he was destroying Hayes. The breakthrough came when she discovered David's burner phone hidden in his car's glove compartment. The text messages revealed a conspiracy that went far beyond simple murder. Phase 1 complete. She's weak enough now. Time for Phase 2. David to unknown contact. Understood. Car accident location secured. Make sure she's alone. Unknown contact to David. What about the kids? David to unknown contact. Foster system placement already arranged. Your brother-in-law signed the papers yesterday. Unknown contact to David. Jennifer's world collapsed. David wasn't just planning to kill her. He was planning to give away their children. Her brother-in-law, Michael, whom she trusted completely, was part of the conspiracy. But the final message made her realize the true scope of David's plan. Insurance investigator handled. Claim will be processed within 48 hours of death certificate. Your new identity documents ready for pickup. Unknown contact to David. David was planning to fake his own grief, collect the insurance money, and disappear with a new identity while their children vanished into the system. Jennifer knew she had to act fast. But going to the police was no longer an option. She had no idea how deep the corruption went or who else was involved. Instead, she made a decision that would change everything. If David wanted her dead, she'd give him a corpse. Jennifer began researching how to fake her own death. She studied forensic science, learned about DNA degradation, and researched missing persons cases. She needed her disappearance to be convincing enough to fool David, but sloppy enough that if she ever needed to return, she could prove she'd been coerced. The plan formed slowly. She would stage a car accident, use pig's blood to simulate her own, and escape during the chaos. She'd already been secretly moving money into hidden accounts, using her maiden name in a post office box David didn't know about. But Jennifer made one crucial error. She trusted her best friend, Rachel Thompson, with her plan. Rachel had been Jennifer's college roommate, maid of honor at her wedding, godmother to her children. If anyone would help her disappear, it would be Rachel. "This is insane, Jen," Rachel said after hearing the plan. "You can't just vanish. What about Emma and Tyler? You're going to leave your kids with a murderer." "It's temporary," Jennifer insisted. Once I'm safe, I'll come back with evidence. I'll expose everything. Rachel agreed to help, but she had her own secret. 3 days after their conversation, she made a phone call that would seal Jennifer's fate. David, it's Rachel. We need to talk. Jennifer is planning something, and I think you need to know. What Rachel didn't realize was that by trying to help her friend, she just signed Jennifer's death warrant. Because David's plan had always accounted for one variable: what to do if Jennifer figured out the truth. Now he knew exactly when and how she planned to disappear. And he was ready. March 15th, 2019. Jennifer Martinez officially died at 11:47 p.m. on Highway 101, 20 miles north of Sacramento. The California Highway Patrol found her Honda Civic wrapped around an oak tree, flames consuming the interior. Blood spatter covered the dashboard. Her purse sat in the passenger seat, wallet intact, driver's license clearly visible. But Jennifer wasn't in the car. 48 hours earlier, she'd put her plan into motion. She'd purchased pig's blood from a butcher shop 3 towns over, paying cash and wearing a baseball cap pulled low. She'd stolen license plates from a junkyard and practiced Route 17 times, memorizing every turn, every mile marker, every place where cell phone coverage dropped. The night of her death, Jennifer kissed her sleeping children goodbye, whispering promises she prayed she could keep. Emma, age 8, stirred slightly. Tyler, age 6, clutched his stuffed dinosaur tighter. Jennifer forced herself to leave before she lost her nerve. David was at his monthly poker game, an alibi he'd maintained religiously for 3 years. Jennifer had 90 minutes before he'd return home. She drove to the predetermined location, a sharp curve where accidents were common. The guardrail was damaged from a previous crash, making it the perfect spot for a vehicle to leave the road. Jennifer parked, doused the interior with the pig's blood, and set the delayed ignition device she'd built from online tutorials. As flames began to lick at the windows, Jennifer grabbed a prepared backpack and disappeared into the dense forest that lined the highway. She'd hidden a motorcycle there 2 weeks earlier, along with a change of clothes, fake identification, and enough cash to last 6 months. By the time the fire department arrived, Jennifer was already 50 miles away, heading north toward Oregon under the name Lisa Crawford. The investigation was perfunctory. Detective Maria Santos noted the skid marks, the blood evidence, the personal effects. With no body to examine, she classified it as a vehicular fatality with the victim presumably thrown from the vehicle and consumed by the fire. The case was closed within a week. David's performance at the scene was Academy Award worthy. He collapsed when Detective Santos delivered the news. Sobbing his neighbors comforted him. At the memorial service, he delivered a eulogy that brought tears to everyone's eyes. Jennifer was more than my wife. She was my anchor, my best friend, my reason for breathing. I don't know how I'll raise Emma and Tyler without her guidance, her love, her strength. The insurance company processed a claim without question. David received $4.2 million and the sympathy of an entire community. But something was wrong. David's grief seemed genuine, but his actions told a different story. Within days of the funeral, he'd hired a private investigator named Marcus Kane. Officially, Kane was looking into the circumstances of Jennifer's death. Unofficially, he was tracking someone who was very much alive. Jennifer had made her first mistake on day 3 of her new life. Lonely and desperate for news of her children, she created a fake social media account and viewed David's Facebook page. For just 30 seconds, she'd watched a video of Emma and Tyler playing in their backyard. That 30-second digital footprint was enough. Kane's forensic computer specialist traced the IP address to a coffee shop in Portland, Oregon. Security cameras showed a woman matching Jennifer's height and build, though her hair was now blonde and cut short. Kane presented his findings to David with clinical precision. She's alive, in Portland, working minimum wage jobs, probably waitressing or retail. She's using the name Lisa Crawford and she's being careful, but not careful enough. David's reaction wasn't what Kane expected. Instead of anger or relief, David smiled. Perfect. How long have you known? I suspected from the beginning. The blood pattern was wrong. The fire was too convenient, and honestly, Your wife was too smart to die in a simple car accident. David leaned back in his chair. I want you to find her exact location, but don't approach her. Don't let her know she's been discovered. I want to know where she works, where she lives, who she talks to. What's your plan? Jennifer thought she was so clever, faking her death to escape me. But she's given me the perfect opportunity. She's legally dead, which means she has no rights, no protection, no way to call for help. When I'm ready, I'm going to show her what real helplessness looks like. Kane felt a chill run down his spine. What about the kids? What about them? They think their mother is dead. They are finally bonding with their new nanny, Ashley. In a year, I'll introduce them to their new stepmother, and they'll have a complete family again. As Kane left David's office, he made a decision that would change everything. He was going to find Jennifer Martinez, but not for the reasons David thought. He was going to warn her. Lisa Crawford had been working at Murphy's Diner for 3 months when the stranger walked in. He was tall, weathered, with a kind of careful eyes that belonged to someone who noticed everything. He ordered coffee and sat in the corner booth, watching the lunch crowd with professional interest. Jennifer's instincts, honed by months of looking over her shoulder, immediately screamed danger. But Marcus Kane wasn't there to hurt her. He was there to save her life. Your husband knows you're alive, he said quietly when Jennifer refilled his coffee cup. He's been tracking you for weeks. Jennifer's hand shook, spilling coffee across the table. I don't know what you're talking about. Jennifer Martinez, age 34, 2 children named Emma and Tyler, supposedly died in a car fire on March 15th. Except you're standing right here, and David is planning something that makes poisoning look merciful. The words hit Jennifer like a physical blow. She glanced around the diner, suddenly seeing potential threats everywhere. The businessman reading a newspaper. The couple sharing pie. The teenager on her phone. Who are you? She whispered. Marcus Kane, private investigator. Your husband hired me to find you, but I'm not working for him anymore. We need to talk, somewhere private. 30 minutes later, they sat in Kane's rental car in the parking lot of a closed shopping center. Jennifer learned the horrifying truth about her situation. Your legal death gives David unprecedented power, Kane explained. You can't access banks, can't rent apartments legally, can't call police without risking exposure. You're a ghost, and is using that against you. What does he want? Revenge. He's not just angry that you escaped. He's furious that you outsmarted him. David spent his whole life controlling every variable, and you prove he's not as smart as he thinks. Kane pulled out a tablet, showing Jennifer surveillance photos that made her stomach turn. Pictures of her apartment building, her workplace, her grocery store. Someone had been watching her for weeks. He has been documenting your routine, just like he did with the poisoning. But this time, he's not planning to kill you quickly. Jennifer's voice was barely a whisper. My children. They are safe for now. David needs them as leverage. But Jennifer is already laying groundwork for something bigger. He's been meeting with people, dangerous people who specialize in making problems disappear permanently. Kane showed her more photos. David shaking hands with a man Jennifer didn't recognize outside a warehouse. David passing an envelope to someone in a parking garage. David sitting at a table with 3 other men, all of them looking like they'd stepped out of a crime drama. These aren't private investigators or lawyers, Kane continued. These are the kind of people who make bodies disappear so thoroughly that even family members stop asking questions. Jennifer felt trapped between 2 impossible choices. Stay hidden and risk David's escalating plan, or surface and face certain death. There's a third option, Kane said, reading her expression. We turn the tables. David thinks he's hunting a scared, isolated woman. But you're not that person anymore. You've survived on your own for months. You've learned to be invisible, to plan, to adapt. Those are valuable skills. What are you suggesting? We make David think he's one. Let him believe he's found you. Let him make his move. But this time, we're ready for him. Kane's plan was audacious and terrifying. Jennifer would return to Sacramento, but not as a victim. She would gather evidence of David's crimes, record his confessions, and build a case that would destroy him legally and financially. The beauty of being legally dead, Kane explained, is that David won't expect you to fight back. Dead people don't testify in court. Dead people don't have lawyers or bank accounts or friends. He'll underestimate you because he thinks you're powerless. What about Emma and Tyler? They are the key to everything. David's using them as bait, but they are also his weakness. He needs to appear to be the grieving widower, the devoted father. That performance limits his options. Jennifer made her decision. When do we start? We already have. David thinks I'm still working for him. I'm going to tell him I've located you, that you're vulnerable and alone. I'll arrange a meeting, somewhere he feels safe and powerful. And then, Kane's smile was cold. Then we show him what happens when you corner someone who has nothing left to lose. But neither Jennifer nor Kane knew that David had anticipated this possibility. While they were planning their counterattack, David was implementing the final phase of his own plan. He'd already contacted Child Protective Services, claiming he'd discovered evidence that Jennifer had been abusing Emma and Tyler before her death. He'd forged medical records, created false testimony, and built a case that would remove his children from his custody permanently. But David's masterstroke was yet to come, because while Jennifer thought she was hunting him, he was already 3 moves ahead. October 12, 2020. Jennifer Martinez walked into her own funeral. The memorial garden was exactly as she'd imagined. White roses, classical music, and David playing the part of the devoted widower. But this wasn't a coincidence. Kane had orchestrated every detail, convincing David that Jennifer would be drawn to the anniversary of her fake death. What David didn't know was that Jennifer had spent the past 6 months preparing for this moment. She'd obtained legal documentation proving her identity, gathered evidence of the insurance fraud, and most importantly, she discovered David's fatal weakness. Ashley Morrison, the children's nanny, hadn't been hired to care for Emma and Tyler. She'd been hired to replace Jennifer entirely. But Ashley had developed genuine feelings for the children, and when she learned the truth about their mother's fate, she'd made a choice that would destroy David's entire plan. Mrs. Martinez. Ashley had whispered during a clandestine meeting at a playground, "Your children talk about you every day. They know something isn't right. Emma keeps asking why Daddy won't let them visit your grave." Ashley revealed David's true timeline. He'd been slowly isolating the children from their extended family, claiming they were too traumatized to see relatives. He'd been preparing them for a fresh start in another state, where his new identity waited. He's not planning to be their father much longer, Ashley confided. He's already contacted a boarding school in Montana. Once he's ready to disappear, Emma and Tyler will be someone else's problem. This revelation transformed Jennifer's mission from survival to salvation. Her children weren't just leverage. They were David's next victims. The memorial service proceeded exactly as Kane had predicted. David delivered another tearful speech about loss and healing. Family members shared memories of Jennifer's kindness. The children, now 9 and 7, stood quietly beside their father, looking hollow and confused. But Jennifer wasn't there to mourn. She was there to record. Hidden microphones captured every word as David spoke privately with his conspirators after the service. The conversation revealed the full scope of his criminal network, money laundering through the car dealerships, insurance fraud spanning multiple states, and a human trafficking operation that used his businesses as fronts. The Martinez problem is almost resolved, David told his associate, Victor Kozlov. Once I relocate, we can expand operations to the West Coast. What about the children? They'll be placed in appropriate facilities. Children ask too many questions, and they remember too much. Jennifer's blood ran cold. David wasn't just planning to abandon Emma and Tyler. He was planning to have them institutionalized to protect his secrets. Kane signaled from across the garden. Phase 2 was beginning. As mourners departed, Jennifer emerged from her hiding place. David was alone, standing beside her memorial stone, when she spoke. "Hello, David," he toned. and for the first time in a relationship, Jennifer saw genuine fear in his eyes. "You're supposed to be dead," he said, his voice barely controlled. "I was, but death didn't shoot me." David's shock lasted only seconds before his calculating mind reasserted control. "You've made a terrible mistake coming here. You're legally dead, Jennifer. No one will believe you. You have no rights, no protection, no dash, no proof." Jennifer held up her phone, showing the recording of his conversation with Kozlov. "I have 18 months of evidence. David, your insurance fraud, your criminal associates, your plan to abandon our children. I have enough to put you away for life." David's facade cracked completely. "You think you're so clever, but you've walked into a trap. I know about your private investigator friend. I know about your fake identity. I know about every move you made since Portland. Then you know I'm not running anymore. No, you're dying. Tonight. And this time, there won't be any tricks." David pulled out his phone, speed dialing a number. "She's here. Yes, now. Make it look like a suicide, the grief-stricken mother who couldn't live with abandoning her children." But Jennifer wasn't afraid. She was smiling. "You always were terrible at reading people. David, you thought Kane was working for you, but has been working with the FBI for 3 years. You thought Ashley was just a nanny, but she's been documenting your abuse. And you thought I was here alone." The memorial garden suddenly filled with federal agents, their weapons drawn. David's phone call had been traced to a known hitman, completing conspiracy charges. Kane emerged from behind a mausoleum, his own recording device capturing David's confession. "David Martinez, you're under arrest for insurance fraud, conspiracy to commit murder, and attempted murder. You have the right to remain silent." As handcuffs closed around David's wrists, Jennifer felt something she hadn't experienced in 2 years: safety. But the real victory came when Emma and Tyler ran into her arms. Ashley had brought them to the garden, telling them their mother had a surprise. The children's tears mixed with Jennifer's as they held each other for the first time since that terrible night when she'd kissed them goodbye. "Mommy," Emma whispered, "I knew you weren't really dead. I knew you'd come back." David's criminal empire collapsed within weeks. The FBI raid uncovered evidence of crime spanning a decade. Victor Kozlov and his associates were arrested. The insurance companies recovered their money. David received a sentence of 4 to 5 years to life. Jennifer legally returned from the dead, a process that took 6 months of court hearings and paperwork. She and the children moved to a small town in Oregon, where they are slowly rebuilding their lives. But the case raises haunting questions about how far someone will go to maintain control, and whether justice can ever truly heal the wounds of betrayal. The Martinez case shows us that sometimes the most dangerous predators are the ones who sleep beside us. David's plan was nearly perfect, except for one thing he never understood. A mother's love for her children creates a strength that no amount of planning can overcome. The case may be closed, but some questions remain. How many other David Martinezes are out there, hiding behind respectable facades? How many other women are being slowly poisoned, gaslit, and destroyed by the people who claim to love them? What do you think? Could you have spotted the warning signs? Could you have survived what Jennifer went through? Comment below and let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe, like, and share for more crime stories.